Hello, 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 hello there. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime pal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. And if you refuse me, honey, you lose me, and you'll be left alone. Baby, send me a kiss and tell me you're my baby, my heart's on fire.
The sex industry is one of the most polarizing topics in modern society, often debated with such a rigidity that nuance is completely ignored. What if the problem isn't the existence of the industry itself, but the way that we have been conditioned to view the women inside it? The history of the sex industry is a mirror of human technology and societal control. It has shifted from being a state-regulated or religious institution to a clandestine vice, and finally, to a decentralized digital behemoth. In the beginning, practices like temple prostitution in Mesopotamia or state-sanctioned brothels in Salonian Athens integrated sex work into the civic and religious fabric, whereas the Victorian era saw a pivot towards criminalization and the great social evil narrative that pushed the trade underground. When the Industrial Revolution came around, the birth of photography catalyzed the commercialization of the male gaze, evolving from the French postcards to the mainstreaming of pornography through mid-century glossy magazines like Playboy. The late 20th century saw a rapid succession of technological disruptions, where VHS and DVDs brought the industry into the domestic sphere, followed by the internet's total demolition of physical barriers. This digital pivot shifted power from studios to individual creators, highlighting the reality that sex work, like any other profession, will be fulfilled as long as there is a demand for it. Whether born out of oppression or viewed as an act of empowerment, its existence is an objective reality. However, we cannot allow this industry to remain a space that makes the world less safe for women. Historically, laws surrounding the industry haven't been designed to protect workers, but to manage public decency. We see this in the 19th century Contagious Diseases Act, which allowed for the forced medical examination of women suspected of sex work, effectively policing their bodies or ignoring their safety. By pushing sex work into the shadows, the law effectively stripped these women of their status as citizens. And when you move an industry to the literal outskirts of town, you make the people within it invisible. This invisibility is where the cycle of dehumanization begins, transforming a person performing a service into a deviant figure existing outside the protection of the social contract, ensuring that as long as they were hidden, they were also disposable.
What you do is go to the strip club, and the guys go to the strip club, and you sit there, and here's the woman, and the whole thing. And once she starts talking about she has kids, or if she starts talking about anything in her life, it's like, stop. Because you're becoming a human before my eyes. I don't want you to be a human. I want you to be an object. I want you to be something pretty to look at, but as you talk, you're making things too real for me.
Enforced by a world accustomed to overlooking sex workers, this disposability has terrifying consequences.
The Calgary man who killed two Calgary sex workers 14 years apart was sentenced to life in prison today. Christopher Ward Dunlop was convicted of first-degree murder in the stabbing death of a woman in a Calgary park 3 years after he was released from prison for killing another woman in the same park. As Terry Fikowski
Victoria
reports, the mother of
police
the
are
first
investigating the
victim
death
believes
of
her
a
daughter's
sex
killer should
worker in the
never
Melbourne
have been out
suburb of
jail
St
in the
Kilda.
first place.
The 40-year-old's body was found in a van yesterday afternoon.
16
in
years
Green
after
after
a man
police
who
said the
police
van
say
had been parked
the
there
killing
for
a
months.
sex worker at the Palms
Police
Casino
say
resort
living in the
bad
van
linked to
with
another
another
court.
on Monday.
35-year-old Jason Kendall
They also
faces charges of murder,
living in the van.
Disturbing perspective, being a prostitute increases your chance of being murdered by 60 to 100 times.
Larger cases like the Green River Killer, who was convicted of murdering 49 women between 1982 and 1998, explicitly target them because they know no one will come looking. When the media and legal systems categorize these women as lifestyle risks rather than as daughters, sisters, or simply fellow human beings, it reaffirms a dangerous message that their safety is optional. This systemic dehumanization has morphed into the modern digital landscape, where extreme violence is often the endgame of a pipeline of subconscious objectification. In our increasingly disconnected world, real-world connections are often substituted with social media and a heavy consumption of pornographic material, where no one is represented as multifaceted. This combination fuels a modern gender divide. With many men lacking regular platonic relationships with women in their daily lives, the divide and the loneliness that follows often becomes weaponized as resentment.
Your body, my choice. Men win again.
This is where the manosphere thrives. Online echo chambers radicalize these isolated individuals by framing women as biological puzzles to be solved or enemies to be subdued. A 2023 report by the Center of Countering Digital Hate found that misogynistic incel communities have seen a significant surge in traffic, with some forums growing by over 10% in a single year. Or more extreme, how in April of 2026, a CNN investigation determined that a staggering 62 million visits occurred in a single month to an online rape academy, an online network involving the sharing of videos and discussion of methods to committing non-consensual assaults. This digital resentment manifests as physical gendered violence, where the sex industry serves as the primary ground for male entitlement. The UN reports that nearly 89,000 women and girls were killed intentionally in 2022 alone, the highest yearly figure recorded in the past 2 decades. This global femicide crisis is the logical conclusion of a culture that views women not as anonymous people, but as vessels for frustration or transactional relief. Whether through domestic abuse, sexual assault, or the targeted killing of sex workers, the common thread is a refusal to grant women empathy. By the time a man acts on these impulses, he's not attacking a human being with a history and a soul. He's merely interacting with the disposable object that his media and society have told him she always was. Fixing the industry and lowering femicide rates requires fixing our perspective. We need to break the social gender divide and be more understanding on both ends, move away from the hyperconsumption of the sex industry, and learn to appreciate beauty while remaining sane enough to know that the women on the screen or stage are regular people with lives to live, rent to pay, places to see. So recognize the work, have at least a bit of respect for the person, and for the love of everything, get off your phones.
I've often dreamed of you.